suppose Juilly is extra special in the St. Louis Institute. And we use the phrase sometimes the cradle of the Institute. And I suppose I'm wondering what it's like for you to be living here, and you know, what's it like to feel or to know that you're in the cradle of the Institute and at the same time things are changing a lot. So what is that like for you? And would you like to start the ball rolling? Don't be looking at each other now.
Well, I suppose we're maybe not conscious of the fact that things are changing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Because here in Juilly they're not changing that much, are they? Except that we're getting older and that there are fewer of us and the normal changes.
Mm-hmm. So on a day-to-day basis life goes on, is that what you're saying,
well,
Claire?
Juilly is Juilly, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
But it is, sorry,
Yeah.
it is a privilege to be living in the foundation house, but we don't always think of it, but it is true.
Mm.
So we like that people be able to pass through and stay a while and see in the village where the congregation is from.
And I suppose not only are things changing in Juilly, but things are changing in France itself.
They are, and they've changed a lot.
Okay, Deirdre, in what
But
way?
I think we are privileged to be here. We don't often think of it, but we do when people come.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they love to spend some time here and they learn a lot about the place, and they say they never knew. There's very little that they knew before they came.
Right. And in what way is France changing? I mean, I know that we're hearing so much, but like for ye here, how is it different?
Well, even the children in school have changed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose the fact that we have a lot more children and a lot more maybe less privileged children,
Mm-hmm.
that would change to an extent. It's changed to an extent.
Mm-hmm.
And they get on very well.
Mm-hmm.
No, I
Yes.
think we're very fortunate with our principal and our staff and our Madame Verdunk that looks after the pastoral care. We're very fortunate to have these people
Mm-hmm.
that keep it going and are so appreciative of the St. Louis who've been here,
Mm-hmm.
of all the St. Louis.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And when you're in Juilly here, and now since Maureen died, God rest her, there are just the four of you. And I'm wondering how you feel connected to the rest of the Institute, or at times do you feel a little isolated, or how is it?
I must say, I feel we're very connected with all that you can get today through musings and everything that comes. And people are very good to us for coming or for keeping in touch with us. And I mention Uni, who comes often, and Murray, and to help us.
And also I'm sure people are in touch by internet or phone or whatever,
Yes.
or whatever it is.
Yes. But a lot of new families have moved to Juilly because it's a nice place to live. People come out of built-up areas and just back from a lovely country walk on a frosty, cold day, but with sun when you kept the right side of the roads, and met nobody, able to say your rosary, walking along and see the winter wheat all growing up in the fields. I just love that part of the life.
Right. And how does the airport, being so near the airport, does it still impinge on you, or was that a huge change when it happened, or I'm just seeing a plane crossing there?
Well, we weren't here when it happened, but there's one thing about it that gives a lot of work for people, and that's why there's a bigger population also in Juilly, because you come to work in the airport.
So it had all happened before yourself and Elizabeth came from Belgium?
Oh yes, quite a number of years. I think in the 70s, was it?
The early 80s, I think.
Early 80s.
A little louder, dear, yeah.
Le Bourget was the air place for us before that, further away.
Right.
And we had children at school here whose parents lost their farms because they were building the airport, and there was a lot of unpleasantness at the beginning. But since the airport went up, it has given so much employment to all the people around. We have a lot of children whose parents work at the airport, and they come quite a distance from beyond Mo and that direction, and drop the children here on the way, and then pick them up later in the evening. There are 80,000 people working at the airport.
My goodness, 80,000.
Now, they wouldn't all be from our area, but a lot of them would be from north and east of Paris.
We often look at the planes, and sometimes they're taking off over Juilly, and we don't like that. They're more noisy then. I'm disappointed, especially when we have visitors, if I see that the planes are, that we prefer when they're landing, they come down, they're making less noise at that time always, yes. You only notice that really when you're outside. And
I think one of you mentioned Mo there recently. So Mo is your local town, your big city,
Yes,
I don't know.
provincial town, yeah.
Do you call it a city or do you call it a town?
50,000 people in Mo. It's a big town. And it's 20 kilometres from here.
Right.
And a lot of our children go to the school in Mo when they finish with us, while they're waiting for a lycée.
Right. So that wish for a lycée, that Cours Bautain would have a lycée, is something that is very dear to people's hearts.
It really is, to the parents and to the teachers and to everybody around. The nearest lycée to us is 20 kilometres.
Which is quite a distance for people to have to travel around.
But there's a good public transport for us, you know.
To Mo.
To Mo for school hours, you know. Yeah. Really for school hours more than anything else.
And over the last few years, you would have seen the last French-born sisters dying.
Yes.
And that must, again, your community has changed. It's a different dimension. Like up until Marie-Pierre died 1.5 years ago, is it, or is it longer?
2014.
2014. Up until she died, there would have been a French-born sister always here. And now it's yourselves. So what difference has that made?
Well, first of all, we had to speak French always when she was there, because she hadn't got the English. And that's one difference. And it's just the contact. People, you know, still question it, you know.
We
Don't
make much
realise
difference.
that there are no vocations.
Much difference.
People what, Dan?
They question the fact that we're all Irish, you know, in the French community.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it did touch us because we're very quick to say we've no more French sisters. You know, we are quite conscious of it.
Yeah, even if you're not conscious of being conscious, it is impinging.
It is there.
Yeah. And I suppose it happened in the whole of the congregation. There was a different sense. It was like the end of something when Marie-Pierre died. It's not saying that, you know, it wasn't a good thing that, you know, her time had come, etc. But there was a difference. It was the end of something. Yeah. And it doesn't look like at the moment that there will be other French-born sisters here.
Not in our time.
Even though we have one sister from the Republic of Benin now who's French-speaking. The first language is French. And she's made her first promises, so hopefully she will be able to continue.
Yes, and some of the sisters in Africa have learned French very well.
Right, and I suppose the sisters being in Étampes.
Yes.
The sisters who are there, yeah.
There's another sister who was in Étampes and who's now gone back to Benin.
Yeah. Right. So, one of the things that always strikes me when I come is the fact that you are so involved. For women of your age, you have managed, and in some ways Juilly has facilitated that in staying very actively involved in ministry. So, talk to me about that.
Yes, I love the opening and the welcome that was given to us at school to help with the pastoral care, preparing for sacraments and giving catechetics. And the children are very receptive, even though quite a number of them are not baptized.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And everybody assists. The parents know when they come to enrol their child that they'll be taught that it's a Catholic school and the Catholic religion will be proposed for 1 hour in every class every week.
Mm-hmm.
And they accept that.
So all children participate in 1 hour?
In 1 hour.
Yeah, even if they're from if their own religion is different from Catholic. Okay.
They're not asked to participate, but they have to be present.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And they do participate.
Those that are really from good practicing Catholic families, those children are later, after their first year in Cours Bautain, are divided into a group that prepare for what we call the profession de foi, and for confirmation.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a very good formation. We're noted for the formation that is given in those aspects.
So the profession de foi is something I associate with France. It isn't in Ireland.
Yes,
it isn't
French-speaking countries.
Yeah, in French-speaking countries. So what is it for those who might be listening to this who don't know what the profession de foi is?
It was introduced in the Francophonie, all the countries that spoke French, when First Communion at an earlier age was introduced by Pope Pius X.
Mm-hmm.
The bishops in France and Belgium said those children, sometimes when they have made their First Communion, you mightn't see them again.
Mm-hmm.
And this was an attempt to be able to continue educating in the Christian faith those children.
It's a renewal of baptism, really.
Okay, a renewal of baptism.
Yeah.
And could somebody make their confirmation without having had profession de
It's not,
foi?
it's
Not
not
a
a
sacrament.
Okay.
It's not obligatory.
But it's just a kind of a
Yeah.
formation.
Yeah,
Yes.
everybody doesn't choose it.
Mm-hmm.
Those who wish.
The majority would make
Yes,
it.
they do. They're going on.
And what would the format of the actual ceremony be like?
It's really based, as Clare said, it's renewing their baptismal
Powers, that's what it
promises.
is. Yes.
The idea being you tell them you were baptized at an early age by parents,
Mm-hmm.
and now that you're 12 or 13, you know what it is to be a Christian, and you say, yes, I go along with that, that's what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody doesn't go forward.
Right.
We have a certain number,
Mm-hmm.
percentage mightn't be big,
Mm-hmm.
No, it is.
but it's well done.
Mm-hmm. Good. It's a great opportunity for children, isn't it?
It is really.
Mm.
And the word profession de foi is professing your faith.
Mhm.
Yes.
And that's really...
Yes, it's really a public profession of faith in the assembly
Mhm.
and before their parents and family,
Mhm.
because it's a real family celebration.
Mhm.
All the grandparents, the aunts and uncles, and some of them have 20 people there
Yeah.
present, isn't that right? You have to count
Mhm.
each family how many will bring and then put out the chairs.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah, the church is now too small for it.
Yeah. You know, just maybe you know what brainstorming is.
Yes.
And just again, for the sake of people who might be listening to this, just list different voices, different times. Just list all the ways you're still involved in ministry, in external ministry. I know there's always the ministry of prayer, there's always the ministry of, you know, contemplation and all of that. That's there for all of us. But you are so involved. So just list them off. Catechesis.
Well, we're very involved in the local church.
Mm-hmm.
Like if people want any kind of singing or choir, they'll have recourse to Sister Clare.
Mm-hmm.
And she'll always be willing to play the organ and to accompany and it's wonderful for the children and for the adults.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Great. So there's the whole parish.
Long ago
Ministry.
in Belgium, Sister Denise Lappin did that similarly. And when she left Sklessen, people came looking for me to play the organ because I was Irish too. They thought it went with being Irish, and I hadn't a note in my head.
Okay, so there's the parish and in specifically the music ministry in the parish.
Well, that's all the only connection I have really is.
Which is wonderful, Claire. 95 years of age.
Not only for the parish, but for
the
neighbouring
parishes
around.
Yeah. And she does a repetition, a practice with the local choir, and she has that tomorrow.
Okay, anything else?
Contact with the past pupils and with the past teachers, and try to keep up with a lot of them. And only today a past pupil phoned she'd like to have her engagement mass in our chapel. So that's nice.
That's lovely.
And that has happened on other occasions.
So Cours Bautain is obviously a special place for her.
It is, really. And there's very good memories of the chapel.
Anything else?
And Deirdre is blessed with a very good memory for remembering them all, their names, their faces,
But the very fact that we're living on the premises, some of us, or really in the vicinity of the school, we meet the children every day.
And they all say bonjour.
Sorry, Claire?
They all say bonjour.
They all say bonjour.
Now, I don't know that we know them at all in school, but any time I meet nearly pupils of the Cours Bautain, they know that I'm a sister, and I get a bonjour, ma sœur.
Great.
They're very friendly, yes. And the fact that the college opposite is closed, all the parents are from this school, and if they don't know us, but the children know us and say, bonjour, ma sœur, well then the parents come along to see how things are.
And then it seems to me that you have ministry to the catechists. I mean, the hospitality.
Yes.
So tell me about that.
Well, they're welcome. We have a lot of religion classes on, say, a Thursday, and depending on the year, whenever they have class, they come up to the convent for a cup of tea, and they've about 10 minutes or so, and they appreciate it very much.
And they meet one of you and you talk.
And meet one another and meet the sisters.
And when we have mass for a class or for a group, the Père François comes in and the catechists will be at that mass, most of them, and
They come to lunch.
involved. And then there will be quite a crowd up for the coffee after that, so it will be a day where there's a lot of contact. Yeah. There's a lot of contact really on account of being here, being actually more here than in the villa, I suppose, because we're in the house and we meet the children, we hear them. As you know, they were noisy today.
Yeah, and you're sharing their dining room in the sense of
Exactly,
picking up food and that,
Yes.
and that's all really important.
And we also have Mass once a week over in the little chapel in the villa. And it's the advantage, there are no steps up to it or anything. So as people from the surrounding parishes come to that, and there's no going up steps for anybody that would be handicapped or anything. And
Dorothy, do you have any questions?
We have a project at the moment to open the lycée, and we're working on the buildings. And I work a bit with the principal, who's doing all the preparation for the lycée.
Absolutely.
So it's another contact.
It certainly is another contact. And then you've all the work with the board.
Yes.
And everything, like what I suppose I'm saying is that you're so actively involved, and sometimes I wonder, do you actually know it? But coming in from outside, it's very evident, you know. And I suppose, you know, as somebody who's living in the Irish region, I might envy you the possibility, because sometimes in Ireland it's actually in some way difficult to actually find a niche where you can channel your energy and have access to the children, etc., etc., etc.
we certainly have no difficulty in that, really. And that's one thing I was very grateful for here in Juilly. I love the catechetics that I give. And the lessons and all that. And so
We
we're
are privileged
appreciated.
in that line.
Mm-hmm.
No, we're very well accepted
Mm-hmm.
by the staff, by the principal, by people, even the people working downstairs and the kitchen and everywhere. Like we are very well accepted.
Mm-hmm.
The sisters are.
And that's obviously thanks to you as well, as it's a two-way thing, isn't it?
Well, I suppose
Yeah.
I hope it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But actually the negotiations for the Cours Bautain and with the oratorians and all that, it demands a lot of thought and energy, but there's one good side to it, that we have Uainín and Anne quite often. We see them, otherwise we wouldn't have had contact.
It's true.
So, and then we had the central team also lately, which was wonderful that the whole four of them came, which was just a community, really a community meeting really.
Mm-hmm.
They were glad to have the sisters from Aiton,
Mm-hmm.
but that just made 11. I mean, they travelled for that for 2 days, so all that was great contact.
Good.
Mm.
Good. And I would say, as somebody from the Irish region too, it's wonderful to be able to come here. You know, when I was a young sister, all we heard about Juilly and whatever, and then the hospitality when you come and chance to brush up one's French maybe. Might come here and mobility permission to learn a bit of French.
Very well.
But, you know, I think a lot of people appreciate that, that opportunity.
And those that have lived here love coming back. You know,
correct.
they absolutely do that. In some way it's very special, I think, if you've lived here. And there were difficult days and there were easier days, but somehow it's still very special to people.
As everywhere. I think.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Okay. Thank you, Dorothy, for being such a wonderful
Thank you,
technician.
Dorothy. Thank you.
Thank you.